most dangerous form of power is the one no one can identify. You enter a space and conversation slows. You remain silent and people begin to measure themselves. You speak once and agreement follows before resistance can form. This is not fear in its obvious form. It is pressure. It is atmosphere. It is presence engineered so precisely that it bends others without ever touching them. This is not chance. This is design. The architects of power understood this long before modern language tried to name it. They knew that authority does not always move forward. Sometimes it stands still and waits while others fold around it. Power can be loud, but the most enduring power is quiet. It arrives without announcement and leaves an imprint that lingers. The man who masters this does not need to raise his voice. He raises the temperature of the room instead. When you stop trying to be impressive and start controlling how people feel around you, something shifts. Attention stops scattering, eyes linger, thoughts slow. People begin to second-guess themselves. This is where obedience is born, not through commands but through presence that unsettles. The man who does not flinch becomes the axis everything else rotates around. Calm becomes intimidating when everyone else is unstable. Stillness becomes dominant when the world cannot stop moving. This is the foundation of aura. It is not personality. It is not charm. It is the discipline of energy. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be felt. That is the difference between being noticed and being remembered. Those who came before understood that revelation is weakness. When people know you, they predict you. When they predict you, they neutralize you. So you do not offer yourself to be understood. You allow yourself to be interpreted. Misinterpretation is not a flaw. It is protection. The moment someone thinks they have you figured out, you have already lost leverage, so you remain undefined. Your inner world is not public property. What others see is a shadow shaped by suggestion, never a mirror of truth. You do not owe clarity, you owe effect. Speak in ways that land but do not explain. Let sentences hang unfinished. Let your meaning feel close but unreachable. People will complete the gaps with their own fears and ambitions. The image they build of you will always be stronger than anything you could describe. Do not correct their assumptions. If they see strength, let them. If they sense danger, let them. If they are unsure, even better. Uncertainty forces adaptation. When people adapt to you, power has already shifted. Change rhythm often. Consistency is comfort, and comfort erodes authority. Be present one moment and absent the next. Offer warmth briefly, then withdraw without explanation. Let them believe they almost understood you before realizing they did not. This creates gravity. Gravity pulls without force. It does not chase, it holds. Those who chase understanding exhaust themselves. Those who remain undefined become centers of speculation. You do not want to live in memory. You want to live in uncertainty. Withdraw when expected. Appear when inconvenient. Let your presence disrupt patterns. Fluidity keeps others off balance. Predictability invites challenge. Silence used correctly becomes a weapon sharper than speech. When confronted, say little. When pressed for explanation, offer nothing that resolves their curiosity. Speak like fog. Present undeniable but impossible to grasp. Doubt returns power to you. The more they think, the less they act. The less they act, the more control you retain. Aura begins before language, before sound, before contact. It enters a room ahead of you and settles before you sit. In a world addicted to noise, restraint becomes unsettling. Most people rush to fill space with words, gestures, energy. They perform because they want to be accepted. You do the opposite. You subtract. You allow silence to expand. Stillness unnerves because it offers no cues. When you move slowly, others feel rushed. When you pause, others reveal impatience. Your posture speaks stability. Your movements suggest ownership of time. You do not hurry because you are not pursuing anything. This signals dominance at a primal level. Dress without excess, precision over display. Nothing about you should ask for attention. Everything should suggest that attention will come regardless. When you speak, do it deliberately. No fillers, no nervous tones. Words should feel costly, as if you weighed them before releasing them. Delay responses, let the pause carry meaning. Anticipation magnifies impact. A restrained expression communicates authority more than any smile ever could. Unreadable faces linger in memory. When you enter a space, do not adjust to its rhythm. Let it adjust to you. Others will overperform, trying to establish themselves. Let them. Excess reveals need. Need dissolves power. You do not need to compete for attention because attention bends toward composure. Calm in chaos reads as control. People follow those who appear unshaken. Even without direction, they look to the one who remains steady. This is environmental influence. You shape the mood by refusing to join it. When others panic, you observe. When others boast, you listen. Your silence forces projection. They will assign you intentions, strategies, authority because the mind cannot tolerate a void. This imagined power becomes real in their behavior. They sit straighter. They choose words carefully. They hesitate. Control is achieved without effort. Do not linger. End interactions cleanly. Leave before you are fully consumed. Absence sharpens value. The rare is revered. Availability cheapens presence. You are not here to fill space. You are here to define it. People should feel your absence as strongly as your arrival. This is not arrogance, it is discipline. Aura is not something you switch on. It is a state you live in. It is built when no one is watching. Consistency and restraint creates permanence in perception. You are not chasing influence. You are becoming it. When people begin adjusting themselves around you, when rooms shift without instruction, when silence follows your entry, you will understand. You no longer need to assert power. It has already been assigned. Power that is always visible loses its edge. Power that is always available becomes background noise. The architects of dominance understood this instinctively. They did not flood the world with their presence. They rationed it. Scarcity sharpens value. When something is always within reach, it is dismissed. When it withdraws, it is desired. You must learn to make your presence expensive, not in wealth, but in access. Interaction with you should feel earned, not assumed. Your attention should never feel casual. The moment people believe they are entitled to you, reverence dies. So you arrive selectively. You stay briefly. You leave without ceremony. The mystery of your movements becomes part of your influence. People begin to ask why you are not always there. That question alone shifts hierarchy. Do not confuse this with arrogance. Arrogance demands recognition. Aura withdraws from it. You are not trying to be admired. You are positioning yourself as a reference point. Others calibrate against you. They measure themselves unconsciously. This only works if you refuse to overexpose. Stop responding immediately. Stop being present everywhere. Stop offering emotional transparency. Predictability is comfort, and comfort dissolves respect. When people cannot anticipate you, they hesitate. Hesitation gives you time. Time gives you leverage. The more they wonder, the more power you accumulate without effort. Let conversation orbit you rather than originate from you. Speak when it alters direction, not to maintain flow. Your words should interrupt momentum, not follow it. End discussions decisively. Leave before energy fades. This creates an echo. People replay interactions with you long after you are gone. That echo becomes authority. The unseen ruler governs more effectively than the visible one. When others talk about you in your absence, control has already been established. You are no longer managing perception directly. It manages itself. Aura is environmental. It reshapes spaces rather than occupying them. Most people enter a room and conform. They absorb tone, volume, mood. You must invert this instinct. When you arrive, the room recalibrates. This is achieved through emotional control. Calm in instability reads as dominance. Silence in noise reads as confidence. When others escalate, you remain grounded. When they seek validation, you withhold reaction. Your indifference unsettles because it denies them feedback. Without feedback, people project. Projection reveals insecurity. Insecurity creates submission. Stillness is your primary tool. It signals that you are not reactive. Reactivity is weakness. It means others can move you. If someone can provoke you, they can guide you. So you train yourself to remain unmoved. This does not mean numbness. It means choice. You decide when emotion is deployed. You do not leak it. You do not explain it. You use it surgically. When anger serves, you release it briefly and withdraw. When warmth serves, you offer it sparingly and remove it without warning. This oscillation creates dependence, not emotional cruelty, but psychological gravity. Your body language must reinforce this. Sit as if time bends toward you. Do not fidget. Do not rush gestures. Let your movements be economical. Economy signals mastery. Excess signals anxiety. When challenged, do not rush to respond. Pause. Let the challenger fill the silence with doubt. Often they will retract without you saying anything. Silence forces people to confront their own motives. Many cannot tolerate it. They will over-explain. Over-explanation exposes need. Need collapses authority. Treat every space as terrain. Observe before acting. Let others reveal themselves. Ego is loud. Need is obvious. Patience is rare. The patient man inherits the room. When someone attempts dominance through humor, volume, or status, allow it. Let them exhaust themselves. Then respond minimally. A single sentence delivered calmly after excess carries disproportionate weight. Follow it with silence. The contrast humiliates without aggression. This is control without conflict. Your gaze matters. Use it sparingly. When you look at someone, let it linger just long enough to be felt. Not confrontational, not friendly. Assessing. People feel seen when you do this, and being seen creates vulnerability. Do not offer constant eye contact. Scarcity applies here too. Attention withheld increases value. When withdrawn, it creates discomfort. Discomfort drives compliance. You do not dominate by force, you dominate by expectation. Others begin to wonder what you think. They adjust behavior preemptively. They hesitate before acting. They self-correct. This is the highest form of control. You are not issuing commands. You are shaping internal dialogue. People begin to police themselves around you. That is aura fully realized. Consistency is crucial. Aura collapses when it becomes performative. This is not a costume. It is a state. You must live it even when no one is watching. Discipline in private creates gravity in public. If you seek validation, it leaks. If you crave approval, it shows. You must sever that need entirely. Praise should not elevate you. Criticism should not shake you. Emotional neutrality is not emptiness. It is sovereignty. When your internal state is self-governed, no external force can claim it. Remember this. The loudest man rarely holds the most power. The one who shapes the room without speaking does. Become rare, become deliberate, become unreadable. Let others chase visibility. You will own influence. When rooms change without your instruction, when people align without request, when silence follows your entry, you will know. You no longer participate in power, you embody it. True dominance reaches its peak when your influence remains intact even in absence. When you are no longer present and yet decisions still bend in your direction, aura has matured into authority. This is where most fail. They mistake control for proximity. They believe power requires constant reinforcement, reminders, appearances. That belief exposes insecurity. Real influence survives distance. It echoes. It lingers. It conditions behavior long after you've exited the frame. When people hesitate because of how you might react even when you are not there, you have surpassed performance and entered imprint. To reach this level, you must detach completely from emotional outcomes. Approval cannot reward you. Disapproval cannot wound you. If either still moves you, others will sense it and test it. Humans are instinctive hunters of leverage. They probe reactions. They apply pressure where response exists. Your task is to remove those pressure points entirely. When nothing registers on your surface, probing stops. Curiosity replaces aggression. Curiosity turns into caution. Caution turns into deference. You must understand that most people do not respect confidence. They respect self-containment. Confidence can still be loud. It can still seek validation. Self-containment does not. It closes the system. Nothing enters unless permitted. This makes your internal state unassailable. When insulted, you do not retaliate. When praised, you do not indulge. When ignored, you do not chase. Each of these refusals denies the other person power. Without power, they recalibrate. They either submit or remove themselves. Both outcomes serve you. Control also demands selective revelation. Never share your full intent. Never explain your strategy. Never announce your next move. Explanation satisfies others but weakens you. It hands out maps. You must let results speak. Results are unarguable. Explanations invite debate. Debate dilutes authority. If pressed for clarity, offer ambiguity. Ambiguity creates space. Space allows you to maneuver. People fear what they cannot define. Fear here is not terror. It is respect mixed with uncertainty. That combination prevents challenge. You should also train yourself to end things cleanly. Conversations, meetings, relationships. Lingering is need. Decisive exits signal abundance. Leave while energy is high. Disappear without justification. Do not soften departures with reassurance. Reassurance is submission disguised as kindness. When you leave without explanation, people assign value retroactively. They wonder what they missed. That wondering elevates your status in their mind. You become an unresolved variable. Unresolved variables dominate attention. Your environment should mirror this philosophy. Do not clutter your life with excess noise, excess people, excess commitments. Clutter dilutes presence. Precision sharpens it. Each obligation should serve leverage. Each connection should have boundaries. Each interaction should end with you intact, not drained. If something costs too much emotionally, remove it. Emotional expenditure without return is weakness disguised as virtue. You are not here to be generous with your energy. You are here to invest it. Observe how people behave when they think you are indifferent. They reveal their priorities. Some will attempt provocation. Others will seek favor. Some will withdraw. Let them. Each reaction gives you data. Data is power. You do not need to respond to all of it. Response is optional. Observation is mandatory. The more you watch, the less you are surprised. Surprise is the enemy of control. You must also eliminate the habit of justification. Justification implies doubt. If you justify your choices, you invite evaluation. If you invite evaluation, you surrender authority. Decisions do not require consensus, they require execution. When questioned, a simple statement suffices. No defense, no elaboration. Finality closes doors. Open doors invite intrusion. Your tone should remain even. Peaks and valleys are tells. Emotional fluctuation signals instability. Stability is intimidating because it cannot be exploited. When everything else changes and you remain constant, people anchor to you. Anchors become leaders by default. You do not need to claim leadership. It is assigned. Never correct misconceptions about you unless they are strategically harmful. Most misunderstandings work in your favor. They inflate your myth. People fear what they misread. If someone believes you are harsher than you are, let them. If they believe you are more capable than you are, let them. Correcting perception is often an act of humility that erodes power. Allow others to overestimate you. Overestimation creates hesitation. Hesitation creates safety. Your internal discipline must be relentless. This is not a role you switch on. It is an identity you inhabit. When you feel the urge to explain, restrain it. When you want to react, delay. When you crave reassurance, deny it. Each restraint builds internal authority. Internal authority radiates outward. Others feel it even if they cannot name it. The ultimate mark of aura is this. People behave differently around you without understanding why. Conversations slow, voices soften, postures adjust, decisions become cautious. That is not coincidence. That is presence asserting itself without permission. You have not demanded anything. You have not threatened anything. Yet alignment occurs. This is control at its cleanest. Remain selective. Remain silent. Remain composed. Let others burn energy trying to decode you. You will conserve yours. Over time, this imbalance compounds. You gain leverage simply by existing as you are. When this happens, you no longer chase influence. Influence finds you. Part D. At the highest level, aura no longer requires effort. It becomes the natural consequence of alignment between your inner discipline and your outward behavior. Nothing leaks. Nothing seeks approval. Nothing reacts impulsively. You move through the world as if it has already adjusted itself around you, because over time, it has. People sense when a man no longer negotiates his identity. They sense when his presence is settled, finished, complete. That completion is threatening to those who live unfinished lives. It reminds them of their own instability. Without saying a word, you become a mirror they avoid. This is where true power stabilizes, not in dominance displays, not in intimidation, but in inevitability. When you speak, it feels like the end of a discussion, not the beginning. When you decide, alternatives dissolve. You do not rush because urgency belongs to those who fear loss. You do not chase because chasing admits lack. You do not cling because attachment is exposure. Everything about you communicates sufficiency. Sufficiency creates gravity. You must understand that fear is not always loud. Sometimes fear is quiet respect. Sometimes it is hesitation. Sometimes it is the subtle instinct to defer. When people sense that crossing you will cost more than it gains, they adjust. They do not announce this adjustment. They simply behave differently. That shift is the proof. Power that needs acknowledgement is weak. Power that alters behavior invisibly is absolute. You should expect resistance when you reach this stage. Not confrontation, but subtle sabotage, passive aggression, withdrawal, attempts to provoke reaction. These are tests. They exist to see whether your composure is real or performed. If you react, you fail the test. If you remain unmoved, the test ends. Most people cannot tolerate being irrelevant to your emotional state. When they realize they no longer matter, they either submit or disappear. Both outcomes refine your environment. Never mistake isolation for loneliness. Isolation at this level is filtration. You are no longer accessible to chaos. Only those aligned with your standards remain. Quality replaces quantity. Precision replaces noise. Your circle shrinks, but its density increases. Each interaction becomes deliberate. Each word carries weight. This is the price of sovereignty. It is not loneliness, it is clarity. You will notice that people begin projecting authority onto you. They ask for your opinion more carefully. They explain themselves unnecessarily. They hesitate before disagreeing. You must not abuse this. Abuse exposes insecurity. Use restraint. Authority grows when it is exercised sparingly. Silence once earned is more effective than speech. Let others fill the void. They reveal more than they intend. Your internal rules must remain strict. No emotional venting, no public frustration, no visible desperation. These are luxuries you no longer afford yourself. Every expression is strategic, every absence intentional. This does not make you inhuman. It makes you sovereign. You still feel. You simply choose not to display. Display is optional. Control is mandatory. Understand this final principle. The world does not follow truth. It follows coherence. When your actions, posture, tone, and decisions align consistently, people trust the structure even if they doubt the substance. Consistency creates reliability. Reliability creates authority. Authority creates compliance. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Predictable in values, unpredictable in action. That balance keeps others cautious. At this stage, even your mistakes serve you. You do not explain them. You correct them quietly. Public correction invites scrutiny. Quiet correction reinforces competence. Let others believe you intended the outcome. Intention, whether real or assumed, is power. Never rush to clarify. Clarity is a gift. Give it rarely. Your presence should now feel complete, not eager, not defensive, complete. Completion signals that you are not looking for anything. People respect what does not need them. They orbit it. They adjust to it. They fear losing access to it. This fear is subtle. It manifests as politeness, as restraint, as deference. That is the final form of influence. Remain vigilant. Aura decays when discipline softens. Complacency invites exposure. Exposure invites challenge. You must maintain your standards even when it feels unnecessary. Especially then. Power is easiest to lose when it feels secure. Continue subtracting excess. Continue observing. Continue withholding. Let time work for you. You are no longer building presence. You are maintaining it. Maintenance is quieter than construction. No one applauds it. That is its strength. While others perform, you endure. While others seek relevance, you remain constant. In a world addicted to noise, constancy becomes dominance. This is the state Machiavelli understood. Not cruelty, not chaos. Control. Control of self first, then environment. When you reach this point, you do not announce it. You do not teach it. You embody it. Those who recognize it will adjust. Those who do not will fade. Neither outcome concerns you. From here forward, your power is not in what you do. It is in what you no longer need to do. You do not convince. You do not chase. You do not explain. You simply exist with precision. That existence reshapes rooms, conversations, and outcomes. This is aura perfected.